We all know and love him from the Spider-Verse movies, and with Amazon Prime bringing a live-action version of him played by Nic Cage again, oh, it's so exciting, I cannot wait. But let's delve into the history of Spider-Noir. Welcome back to GIQUE, where we cover all things Marvel, DC, video games, and everything in between. We try to have a little bit of everything for everybody. I'm Stella, and today we're going to be covering Earth 90214's Peter Parker, aka Spider-Noir. This variant of Peter Parker was introduced in the early 2000s, in the self-titled comic run coming out in December of 2008, to be exact. Like in many tellings of Peter Parker's story, he is in fact raised by Uncle Ben and May Parker, but this time it is during the Great Depression. Peter was raised with the belief of good triumphing over evil and was supportive of his aunt and uncle's activism. Peter discovered the mutilated body of his Uncle Ben, killed in retaliation by one of New York City's businessmen for organizing a strike on sweatshops. You see, this version of Ben Parker was a former pilot in World War I. After the war, however, he believed that the war he fought wasn't entirely honorable and didn't see himself as a hero, even though he had a few awards for doing very well in the war. Ben later became a social activist along with his wife May Parker during the peak of the Great Depression. The murder of his uncle by the mob boss Goblin, aka Norman Osborn, drove Peter's resolve to continue to seek justice. While helping May at a rally in a Hooverville, they encountered a violent response from the enforcers. Fortunately, the two were saved by Ben Urich, which if you know Daredevil comics, you would know, or the Daredevil show, you would know Ben Urich is the reporter usually in a New York-based thing, and this event ended up leading Peter to become Ben's protege at the Daily Bugle, always following the main Peter Parker plotline. And there they explored the dire situation of New York citizens, especially those under the threat of the Goblin. After Peter mistakenly received a tip-off meant for Urich, he ventured to a warehouse where the Goblin's men were unloading a shipment of stolen antiques. And this, my friends, is where Peter Parker becomes Spider-Noir, a particular item which was the Spider Idol, tied to both the Spider Totems and the Web of Life and Destiny. But this Spider Idol broke open and released a horde of spiders. One of the spiders bit Peter, causing him to pass out and dream of a spider god. After waking up, Peter discovered he possessed arachnid superpowers. Donning a mask, Peter confronted Norman Osborn in his home in order to get him to give up his hold over the city. However, Peter was shocked to discover Urich, who was revealed to have been blackmailing Osborn with his information on the mob boss, but Peter was shocked to discover Ben, who was revealed to have been blackmailing Osborn with his information on the mob boss in exchange for fueling his drug habit. And angered by this information, Peter understandably left. And when he got home, Peter made his first Spider-Man costume, which was based on his uncle's World War I era airman uniform. Try to say that a couple times fast. But this is the official birth of the vigilante Spider-Man in this universe. Peter later returned to Urich's apartment to force him to help bring down the Goblin, only to find the reporter dead. As the Bugle labeled him negatively in the papers, Spider-Man arrived at the Bugle building to meet Jonah Jameson over this matter, only to find Jameson shot to death. Later on, Peter learned that Jameson was replaced by the Chameleon and the real Jameson was imprisoned by Osborn. This led Peter to Jameson's location where he killed the Vulture, who was responsible for killing Ben Parker, to stop him from murdering his aunt. And despite saving his aunt from the Vulture, she still ended up ostracizing him because she didn't believe that murdering him was a good idea. In fact, she told Peter that killing people would make him less of what makes him human. He discovers that the Goblin had planned on murdering Urich, finding the reporter's information on the Goblin, which was kept by Felicia. Yes, that Felicia, and yes, her and Peter are dating in this universe. And then eliminating every witness. He also discovered that Felicia was responsible for killing the Chameleon after she saw him, disguised as Jameson, murdering Urich. Spider-Man intervened, subdued the enforcers, and rescued Jameson. And when the Goblin captured Felicia, Spider-Man actually came to a point where he could save her and kill the Goblin and refused to do so. And you know, when you are talking about Peter Parker, it is inevitable not to talk about his love life, so we are going to talk a little bit more about Felicia. In this universe, she is the owner of the Black Cat nightclub and the former lover of Ben Urich. And when he had died, she took a lot of the files on New York City's corruption and scandals that would bring down many of the city's corrupted officials. After receiving the files, she secretly witnesses Ben's murder by his boss, Jonah Jameson. But in fact, it turns out to be the disguised chameleon sent by his mob boss, the Goblin, which we've covered. Still believing it was Jameson who had killed Urich, Felicia confronted the disguised chameleon in Jameson's office and shot him dead. She also dates the crime boss, Crime Master. However, she was secretly infatuated with Spider-Man behind the Crime Master's back. Though despite her feelings for Spider-Man, she already realized that they both lived different lives that could null the possibility of them actually being a couple. When the Crime Master discovered that she had been soliciting with Spider-Man, he angrily retaliated by severely slashing her face. But before she passed out from her injuries, she made a phone call to alert FBI agent John DeWolf with Crime Master's affiliation with Dr. Otto Octavius and his inhumane experiments. While recovering from her injury, she actually relayed to her bodyguard to tell Spider-Man that she never wanted to see him again because of the injuries she sustained. Because those injuries left her permanently scarred, she wears a white mask to hide them. In 1940, Felicia had taken on the alias of the White Widow and helped the Spider-Man defeat the Shocker, who planned on selling his weaponized suits to the Nazis to help win the war. After defeating Schultz, Spider-Man was recruited by Spider UK to prevent the Inheritors from escaping their prison on Earth 3145. However, the Spider-Man would die in battle, and Spider-Gwen would reveal his death to Felicia, who would show Gwen her scarred face. Though saddened by this news, she was thankful that Gwen had told her about the circumstances of her Spider-Man's death, since it spared her the pain of living a life where she never knew what happened to him. It is important to note that the last thing that Sony had come out with was Madam Web, so it's likely that we're in for something, again, multiversal. And in the comics, Peter was asked to join the Spider Society and would head to the base when called upon by Madam Web. The Spider Society being a team of superheroes called together to protect the multiverse if it ever came under harm. Like the rest of the members, he wondered why Madam Web, 616 Peter, and Miguel hadn't shown up, especially since Madam Web herself had called the meeting. When they were blindsided by the Sinister Squadron, Peter was most likely among those who were captured, and only rejoined the Society again when they were all freed to see May Madam Web, which is a variant of Aunt May as Madam Web, had captured the most important members of the Web of Life and Destiny. As far as we know, in this Prime version of Spider-Noir, who is still played by Nic Cage, who played him in Spider-Verse, we are seeing a older character and not like just the going into early career at the Daily Bugle Spider-Man, but we're getting a story that follows an aging and down on his luck private investigator in the 1930s in New York, who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. The series is also coming out in both black and white and in color, which I am a sucker for because I love seeing things in black and white. Like, when Werewolf by Night came out, I watched it in black and white and it was beautiful. I love multiversal stuff, but I kind of hope, because so much of his existence in comics has been multiversal, that we'll get something kind of down to earth with him. I think that would be really nice. But I do hope that they touch on the Spider Totem being able to revive him. I think that would be really cool. I hope this little rundown got you as excited for the show as I am for it. And if you like this, be sure to like and comment and subscribe and hit that bell notification if you want to see more videos like this. And I will see you guys next time. Stay geeky. Bye.